Good evening, students of Conversation 2. This is week 8, and this is a makeup lecture for the Monday of the second week that was postponed in March. So I'm not sure exactly what the date is per se, but I neglected to tell you that this makeup class was coming. So rather than just having you log in this weekend, I will allow you to log in until next Friday. So we're going to have a little bit of overlap with the week 9, what would have been week 8, but will be week 9's lecture next week, okay? So make sure that you log in and look at this video lecture over the weekend if you can. But if you don't catch it, I will extend the period for this makeup lecture until next Friday, just in case some people don't get the memo because it was given a little bit late. So there's no assignment this week, so you don't have to worry about that. I just want you to log in, listen to what I have to say, and practice this interview question for the final. We are going to have to start doing some homework again because normally you would have in-class presentations, but we're going to have to do something different. It might be that I end up asking you to do a video like this. I'm not sure if everyone's able to do that, so that would be the first obstacle when it comes to whether you can, record a presentation for me and send it to me. But we're going to have to work something out because I need to see how you can present or how you can speak in order to evaluate. There is good news, though. The good news is that they've relaxed the curve, not completely relaxed it, so I can't just distribute grades exactly how I want, but basically 50% of the class is permitted to get an A, and the remaining 50% will get whatever below an A, B through down to failing the class. So half of you are eligible to get an A in the class. So the question is how to evaluate fairly which people should get that grade. So we do have to figure out a few things, but for now, I would just like you to continue as you've been doing. I've received 6 assignments from you, as you know, and the feedback is going to be sent out next week. And for now, I would just like you to follow with the topics and make sure you keep up. And then we'll deal with the other assignments or presentations and how to evaluate you after I get caught up, okay? So this week, we are going to talk about health. The question I'm going to ask you on the final exam, because we are going to be allowed, apparently, to do interviews in person, so you'll have to come and visit me one by one, and I'll have to interview you and evaluate how well you can perform in an interview. So this is, now we're on actually question number 8, okay? And the question is, what do you do to stay healthy? Or I may ask it, remember, I might not exactly use that, sentence. I might say something like, how do you stay healthy? It means the same thing. What do you do to stay healthy, or how do you stay healthy? Or I might even say something like, do you think you are healthy? Any of those questions are the same topic, and you should be able to handle them all because it's just variations of the same question, okay? And the reason I'm going to ask it a little bit differently is one, because it's more natural, and that's the way somebody would actually ask the question, and 2, because I want you to be able to be flexible so that when you have a real interview, I mean, my interview's real, don't get me wrong, but when you have an interview for a job rather than for a class where you're trying to get a grade, that you won't freeze or be unable to answer a question, even though you have the ability and you have the knowledge and you have the background and you've prepared, but somebody asks the question in a different way, and then that causes you to be nervous or hesitate or just not be able to answer the question. So I don't want you to memorize exactly the way I ask it. I want you to just be able to talk about health in general. No matter how I ask you the question, it's going to be the same answer, if you know what I mean. When I help seniors who are doing their job interviews, and they're doing English interviews, whether they're international students or Korean students, one of the things that I notice is that they come with a set of 100 questions, or sometimes it's even more ridiculous. It's like 200 questions. And the first thing I do is just go through the list and be like, well, circle these 6 questions, and they're basically the same type of question. So you only need one answer. You don't need to provide 200 unique answers, because there's really only 20 topics in this whole group, which makes it a lot less intimidating. So when it comes to health, if somebody's asking how healthy you are, the first thing you're going to say probably is, yes, I'm healthy. If you weren't going to be honest, though, you'll probably say, but something. And there's a lot of ways of looking at how to interpret how healthy you are. Normally, when people just go to the doctor or something, it's either you're sick or you're not. But the condition of your body is a little bit more complex than that. So, you can be not infected with a particular disease and not require medical treatment immediately, but still be suffering, right? So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that you exercise, you eat well, and you sleep properly. So you're basically healthy, okay? That's just a basic idea of whether you're healthy or not. But I think we need to go beyond that. So once you get beyond that, you're going to end up talking about more complicated things. Like, you could have just a problem with your sleep. Like, I go to bed too late, or I sleep too long, or I'm tired a lot because I don't sleep, or I sleep a lot and I'm still tired. I eat junk food all the time. I don't eat regularly. I skip meals and I feel less energy. There's a lot of different diets out there, but in general, just eating with a normal pattern that your body gets used to, it doesn't really matter, honestly. If you eat 6 meals a day that are small, or you eat 2 meals a day that are large, or you eat 3, balanced meals, everybody has a different body, and I'm not going to argue with people who say, oh, I'm doing 1 meal a day, OMAD, and my OMAD diet, and I'm just, eating 1 hour a day, and that's it, and I feel great. Okay, that's fine. But generally, the pattern of eating is important. So I often skip breakfast, and I don't like breakfast that much, but by the time it's late morning, I'm starving. And so I eat, if I miss lunch, I'm in big trouble. This is my bad habit. And then if I skip lunch, then I start to feel sick. And then maybe I don't feel like eating much, so I don't have a good dinner. But then in the evening, I get hungry, and then I eat a lot. This is all not very good for you in general. Exercise, we all know. If you don't move your body, basically, you start sinking. And your body you lose muscle mass. And essentially, your whole life, I'm just going to give you my theory, and it's not my own theory, but just a general theory, is that we live on the earth, and the earth is pulling us down. And if you want to find out, proof of this, you can just look at how astronauts have to deal with daily life. If you're an astronaut, you have to spend half of your day exercising. You have to spend like 10 hours exercising a day, because basically your body's just sort of like floating apart. So it's our bodies are built to resist gravity. But at the same time, eventually gravity is going to win. So I know this is probably not the most optimistic way of looking at life, but let's just say that you need exercise, because if you don't exercise, gravity is going to win faster. Okay? So if you eat poorly and you get really heavy and you don't have enough muscle, you're basically going to get pulled right into the ground. And When you get pulled into the ground, it's game over, right? That's the way I look at it, is that, I mean, I exercise because I enjoy exercise, and lots of people do that for stress and everything else. But essentially, you must move around. If you stay on the couch all the time, you will just become part of the couch or the sofa, and you will just sink. Eventually, you will sink into the sofa, and the sofa itself will collapse, and you'll just return to the earth, which is eventually going to happen anyway, which is fine. But you probably don't want to do it sooner. You'd rather do it later. So that's why you need to exercise, because you need to make your body strong, and a strong body is able to resist gravity and keep the integrity of your body. And that's why astronauts have so much trouble staying healthy, and you can't stay in space too long because your body literally you just lose muscle because there's no resistance up in space because you're in zero gravity. Okay. Now, one of the big messages I want to talk about is related to, in the book they're going to talk to you about different body parts and what to do to exercise. And like I said, you can say whatever you want about how you stay healthy. You can say you're a vegetarian and that's how you eat. You don't eat any meats and you think meat's bad for you, and these are the things that you eat and this is how you eat. You can talk about that. Or you can talk about going to the fitness center. You can talk about going to the gym. Or you can say that you run down the Gapchun and you run 5 kilometers every couple days. Or you can say that you have a routine, that you try to manage your stress and that you go to sleep at a reasonable time and you get up early and you stay active. You can talk about, taking care of your skin. You can talk about using sunscreen and protecting your skin from exposure. That's very good for you. You can talk about clean. You take a. I'm not saying nobody takes a shower, but like you stay clean and you clean your nails and you shampoo your hair and you wash your body properly and then you put cucumbers on your eyes and you decide what you want to say about. Because the chapter is essentially how do you stay healthy, but it's also like you can take the approach of you're all very young, so you probably don't care, and I didn't care either, but I got a lot of wrinkles here and I have dark circles around my eyes, and I would probably prefer not to look older. I would probably rather look younger, and if you're already taking care of your body so that you will look younger longer, then that's fine. You can talk about that too. So specific types of exercise, like I said, if you do yoga or you do stretching or you're part of a running club or you play a sport or you're into weight training. Last year when I had this class, a number of people told me about how they try to build muscle mass and stuff like that. And it might be more than one of these things. So you can talk about that as well. And you can talk about the things, you can talk about how you stay healthy, but you can talk about how, you can talk about the things that you have to overcome. In my case, I did rupture my Achilles. It's almost 10 years ago now. It'll be 10 years ago in June that I ruptured my Achilles. So, I have a little bit of a problem with, the left side of my body and the right side of my body. And I had to do physiotherapy for about a year in order to, help my leg recover from that damage. But it's still not, I'm going to say it's above 90%, but it's not the same. It's never going to be quite, the same left leg as it used to be. So, you can talk about something like that, an injury that you had. I also have neck pain, probably because of soccer and sitting at a computer desk and playing games and doing research and typing and emailing for hours and hours, thousands of hours by now that I've spent at my computer, and hundreds of hours, maybe thousands of hours of soccer and hitting the ball with my head. And, I fell down a bunch of times, and I've seen the doctor about my neck, but it's basically something I have to live with. So, pain management, or the consequences of injuries and how you deal with keeping healthy despite aches and pains. Some people have stomach trouble. You don't have to talk about your personal health issues, but you can if you want. Everybody has, nobody's in perfect health. Or maybe you are because you're 20, but I'm not. When you're 40, you probably won't be. So the stress in life and injuries take their toll. So you're welcome to talk about those things too. Now, treatments and keeping healthy and supplements and stuff like that. Supplements and diets are something you can talk about too, because a lot of people. This is a massive, huge business. A lot of the stuff is not helpful, but companies sell things to people all the time. And obviously there are health benefits to a lot of different types of food, and there are, lots of different products out there that are definitely do have an effect. But you'd be surprised at how many of them are really not effective, and that even if they are effective, it's very, very slight. So slight that it's almost not worth the money. Not almost not, it's definitely not worth the money is what I'm saying. So I'm going to attach a video, not attach it, but I'm going to link it beneath this lecture for your benefit. And I will warn you right away, if you're a person who loves their vitamins, and a lot of people do, this might disappoint you or upset you a little bit. But I think that's part of a professor's job, is to try and introduce students to other perspectives and to drive home the point that you should be critical of things around you, even though it's part of your daily life. So, you're probably not familiar with these little, you can look it up on Google if you want to understand what I'm saying, but they always have these kids' vitamins. They might be little, gummy bears, or, different shapes and colors, rainbow things or whatever, and they make them they put some sugar in them, and kids eat them, and they're supposed to make the kids healthy, right? In my case, the famous vitamin that I took when I was young, as I recall, was a Flintstone vitamin. Now, Flintstone is a cartoon that's ancient, even when I was young. This is a cartoon that was probably popular in the 1960s or something. The Flintstones, they're like cavemen, and they have dinosaurs and stuff. Anyway, they had these little vitamins, and I used to eat one every day. It did nothing, because my mother took care of me, and she gave me healthy food all the time. I ate my green vegetables, my yellow vegetables, my orange, my red, my dark green, my light green, my meat, my potatoes, my rice, my milk. I ate all the 4 food groups, the traditional ones. I was a good eater, so I was getting tons of vitamins, and those sugar-coated purple and pink and green Flintstone vitamins were just a waste of money. And I think most people just get them just in case. But the actual definition of vitamin is it's a micronutrient that you need to eat in small quantities. You certainly don't need, you don't even need the 100% daily recommended dose. What you need is 100% of the weekly dose, but that's not what it says on any supplement or any food. It just tells you what you need that day. But you don't need to have a strawberry every day. You don't need to have an apple a day, despite the fact that we have an idiom that says an apple a day keeps the doctor away. We know that's not true. So what you need basically is, if you don't want to have your teeth fall out and your eyes go black and turn into a pirate and get scurvy, what you need to have is like an orange every week, or a strawberry or something. In the past, people were malnourished. There's no question. But basically, if you had a piece of fruit every week, you're fine. I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying that you don't need an excessive amount. When you see these drinks and stuff, especially in Korea, that say vitamin C 500 or something, and it's sugar and water and syrup and a few chemicals and 500% of the vitamin C that you need that day, you're basically you're just peeing out vitamin C. You're just going to have bright yellow urine. It's expensive pee is what it is. So there is a really good short clip I have used many times. If you love your vitamins, by all means continue. I'm just saying you don't need them. And in some ways, like if you take too many vitamins, if you overload your body, you're just putting a burden on your organs. And processing excessive amounts of nutrients that you don't need is something your body doesn't have to deal with. So be careful of the supplements, and diet goes along with that. Extreme diets are almost always not beneficial, right? You need to, diets are more about your attitude and your commitment. You can choose any diet you want. And people say, this diet works and that diet works. Let's be honest. Any diet can work if you just don't eat too much food and you exercise. It doesn't really matter. You can eat a lot of fat or a little bit of fat. You can reduce your carbs or you can use a lot of carbs. But if you have a healthy schedule and you commit to a certain routine that's healthier, that causes you to lose weight, and you know, there's no magic formula here. It's just you committing to a plan and not giving up on it, and then you will get the benefits that you want. And you don't have to diet to lose weight. You can diet to get huge. You know, all those Marvel characters that you love, all those actors, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Pratt and Chris Hemsworth, you know, all Thor and etc., Star-Lord and all that, they all went on diets. Captain Marvel, they all went on diets. And they have professional nutritionists and dietitians and trainers and stuff. And they ate well. I've watched the interviews anyway, and they ate well, but they created a routine that enabled them to get into the shape that they wanted to be in so that they could look awesome and look like superheroes. So those trends happen you can do the Marvel diet if you want, or you can do the low carb diet, you can do the paleo diet, you can do the Royal Denmark diet. But really, if you stick to any diet over the long term, then you're probably going to get the results that you expect. And that commitment and that attitude is going to be the most important thing. So in terms of the supplements and the vitamins, there's a pretty funny little clip I have from a show called Adam Ruins Everything, and Adam's going to tell you basically what I said about vitamins and talk to you about, you know, how some scientists who are really famous, you know, back 50 years ago started this interest in vitamins thinking that it was going to be the cure for everything, and it turns out it's not. It turns out that hospitals and medical science have extended our lifespan more than anything, and that the vitamin industry is probably mostly based on feeling good about yourself and knowing that, oh, I didn't eat enough fruit or vegetables today, so I popped a vitamin pill, so I'm fine. But the actual truth of the story is that you probably didn't need the vitamin anyway. What vitamins are really for is for people who can't get the small amounts of these organic compounds from the food for a variety of reasons that's usually related to being fairly sick. So you can describe to me what you do to be healthy, and you can describe how you're unhealthy in some respect also, and just make sure again that it's about 2 minutes long and half a page in length if you're going to write it, and that you're prepared to discuss your own health with me in a way that you're comfortable with. You can talk about your ideas. Just make sure, remember, don't be scattered. Choose one thing. Choose diet, or choose routine, or choose nutrition, or choose the type of exercise you like to do, and stick to one thing, which will prevent it being too long, and it will prevent it from, sort of being more difficult to manage in terms of organization. Okay? So remember, this is the makeup lecture. It's going up this weekend, and you have to watch this lecture, and you have until next Friday to watch it. Okay? So thank you for listening, and this is the weekend edition. This is our last makeup lecture for this class. So thank goodness we'll be just on a regular routine. But you can expect on Monday to be there to be another one that overlaps with this as we go into next week, and make sure that you watch that one as well. Okay, have a good night, and see you on Monday.